Today's female entrepreneur is Carla Snyder, founder of Impact Transformation. Carla is an igniter of ideas, relationships, and out of the box thinking. Her passion is people empowerment. Her purpose is coaching greatness. Throughout her career, Carla has led corporations, small businesses, nonprofits, and individuals through transitions to successful outcomes. She leverages her relationship development expertise, her strategic planning and consultative sales, and professional speaking skills to create impact transformations. Carla shows professionals seeking career impact how to break through one of life's most challenging situations and go from striving to thriving. Her coaching shows them how to connect their passion and purpose with a position where they will prosper doing work they love. Deeply connected in the corporate, the nonprofit, and educational arenas, both locally and nationally, Carla's career transition solutions are customized for an individual to maximize their unique skills, talents, and focus on their actualizing their vision. Known as a creative problem solver, Carla has counseled and trained thousands of professionals through all aspects of their career transitions, guiding them to success and freedom. Carla believes every professional owes it to themselves to find purpose and happiness in what they do, and she is dedicated to helping them land a career that does just that. Welcome, Carla.
So great to see you today. Thank you, Jane, for having me on.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Oh my gosh, your career is so inspiring because you're coming from a world that I have left many years ago, but is still very viable and one that people need coaching in, especially in today's world. So tell us a little bit about your passion to coach people into their position with purpose.
Right. So I'd love to do that. And you know, it ignited me back when I was actually in college. That's where I had the first inkling that it was so important to make that connection. I worked with students. I was a junior in college and I worked with some freshman students and I plugged them into all different not-for-profit agencies throughout San Diego County. And what we found with that is that really got them solidly entrenched in their college career. It showed them opportunities to do something that they really loved and were passionate about. And it's really what sparked me and got the impetus for my business started.
Well, that I could see where that spark would light and continue to light a flame because especially when we're young, we're often told what we should be doing, but we're not necessarily asked what our passion is or doing something that we love. So that is so inspiring from a young age, and the fact that you would actually latch on to that and say, I think I could be helpful here. That is so intuitive. So much like defining your goals as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, landing your dream job also requires knowing career objectives. So how do
Yes.
you help individuals define their career objectives?
Right. So, having a career objective is really part of a holistic experience that you have. There are very many factors that need to be considered. The career can't stand on its own. So, what I love to do is work with people, and actually, I work with them in what I call the decades of transition and transformation, because in each of the decades of our journey and career, we're going to have different other impacting criteria. So, we really want to make sure that we define what we want to do in that particular decade, obviously with flexibility. Let me give you an example of that. So one of the individuals that I worked with was a leader in the for-profit world, and he had decided to have an encore career and was really looking for where he could continue to be in a leadership role, but do something for community. So what I did was I helped him get an internship in a not-for-profit, an opportunity for 3.5 months to try it on for size and see whether or not he could then execute in that same environment and have the kind of success and satisfaction that he wanted. And sure enough, he was plucked from that internship and put into an incredible position in the not-for-profit community here in Maricopa County. It was a wonderful story of having his dreams come true.
Wow, that is fabulous in the sense that you got him to experience it, even to see if it was something that he really wanted. And then, of course, you said the opportunity arose for him to be hired in the position that he obviously loved. That is
Right.
so insightful. So, what three questions then would you ask a client about who is uncertain about his or her chosen career path? Because a lot of us do choose a career path that we think we're going to be good at, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily what we want.
Right. That's so true. So there's a couple questions that I always want to send forward. And one of them is, where do you find joy in your current career? It's very telling if there's not an answer coming forth right out of that question. So that's really one of the places that I start with that. And then I also want to understand someone's curiosity. So I'll ask the questions: is there another industry that with a product or service that you've been interested in and you've been researching maybe on the side, is something around electric cars or something that's future based, something that you might want to do as you move forward in your career? And if so, let's explore that a little bit further. And then the third one is, because you have to have content, but you also have to have the right context for what you do in your career journey. So I always like to ask the question, if you had the ideal setup, what would it be for you to conduct business? And see where they go with that. And especially now with so many changes in the world of work, is the remote environment a better environment for you? And if so, how do we actualize
Mm. Vision. I see that
that?
as your vision. You're actually painting a picture of where you want to envision yourself, and that you're facilitating that through those questions. That is so powerful, because we know that if we can paint our future, then we can bring it to us. I love
Right.
those questions. So
Thank
share a
you.
bit about the signature process that you use to help clients discover how to achieve the next step in their professional
Mhm.
journey.
Absolutely, I would love to. So the journey that I do and the signature process can be done a couple of different ways. It can definitely be done in a group setting. I love to do workshops with it. It can also be done one-on-one with the client. And what we're doing in the intent of it is to do a self-reflection and introspection with that individual or that group of individuals so that they can really, and first, what I always do is define what is career transformation. And the essence of it is really trying to find a place that we can co-create where your passion and your purpose can intersect with the position that would be stimulating and you would love. And I know from that you would get the kind of prosperity that you're looking for. There is a series of questions that we work with during the session. And again, if it's in a group session, we would have introspection always first, and then an opportunity for group discussion and the ahas that come from that. And that would be similarly done on a one-to-one as well.
Mm. I think that working in the group could be so unique because we often brainstorm and we feel each other's energy, or we get different ideas from others, as opposed to a lot of times working one-on-one, which tends to be, the coach and the client. But I love
Mhm.
that because I have never heard of that kind of group coaching in this type of a situation. What a unique idea. And I love it because I really, personally, I do feed off of other people's inspiration and their ideas, and I think that's a great way to open up doors for something that you might not have seen yourself. Just
Right.
so innovative. That's the word I'm looking for. So innovative. I love it. I tell you, people, Carla has got this down, and if you're looking for a career in the corporate world, she's your gal. So
Thank you.
personal branding. Well, my pleasure. A personal branding is so vital, even as an entrepreneur, when you're looking
Yes.
for a purposeful career, but as well as when you're going to present yourself to a
Mhm.
corporation, or to a nonprofit, whatever the case may be. How do
Right.
you coach someone in the arena of corporate personal branding in order to land the job that you would hope would be for a lifetime?
Sure. Well, I think the key to that is really that there is success, and we know each of us inside of us is a differentiator that makes us so special and unique in this world. And it's really unearthing that differentiator that really starts the branding. So I look at a characteristic and I ask each individual to think, what is that characteristic that best describes you? Are you an inspirer? Are you a servant leader? Are you a knowledge net person? And whatever that unique characteristic that you have, then you build the story around that characteristic and you build your brand around that as well. It is really like you shared earlier, Jane, what are the skills and talents that you bring to the table, and how do you actualize those skills and talents to make the kind of individual that you are differentiated from anybody else? That's what I love to do in personal branding.
Mm. Yes, it's unpacking that secret sauce that we all
Right.
have, but we often don't see it because we're too close to it. And that is the key. And also, this gets more into aesthetics, but the way you
Mhm.
present yourself, the way you dress, the way you speak, all of that plays into, like they say, there's only one chance to make a first impression. And when you're going for that dream job,
Right.
it, there's some practice, because I know that you can have, and I think you walk people through that, is a practice
Mhm.
interview or two, or maybe three if they
Absolutely.
need it.
Yeah.
Because I know, I mean, it's been eons since I've been in the corporate world, but I know when you want that job, you can certainly get the jitters and throw your whole, branding, even your confidence out the window. So yeah, you really
Right.
want to be grounded, and that's fantastic, because when you go in
Yes.
prepared, that's the grounding that you need to be in your
Yes.
best self. So just like pitching your clients for your
Mhm.
services, a career seeker also needs to be able to have their elevator pitch, as
Right.
crazy as that sounds. So
Yeah.
what's your strategy for building a winning pitch?
Right. So I think what's most important is going back to your why. So what is understanding, having a deep understanding of what your why is and why you have chosen that particular pursuit. And then what do you think in the product or service that you're representing is uniquely different? What is that very special piece to it? And then what also are the outcomes that you're going to deliver on? What is the promise that you're going to make? And if you put those three things together in a succinct answer, you'll have a beautiful elevator pitch that says, why am I doing this? What do I do that's differently? And what can I give you that no one else can?
Yes, preparedness.
Yes.
Because when they do throw those questions out to you, it might not
Mhm.
be directly in that manner, but that's the answers they're seeking.
Correct.
Because nowadays they throw so many strange questions at you. I don't know what, it's bit. I did a lot, probably about 8 years ago, fill something out online. Oh my gosh, I could have written a book, but the questions were like, really? I hadn't experienced that, and I can't even imagine what they are today. But yes,
So
preparedness is
helpful.
key. Yeah, absolutely. And so this question applies both to entrepreneurs and career seekers. So
Mhm.
how would you push a client out of their comfort zone for them to realize their full potential?
Sure. Well, each one of the clients that I work with, as you know, is completely customized in the approach that we use. So one of the things I evaluate first is what is the level of risk that someone is able to take? And we need to really understand that. And then we go from there. So let me give you an example. There was one of my clients that was very interested, he thought, in going into the not-for-profit world. He was fully employed in the for-profit world, so that wasn't an issue at the moment. So I said, why don't we explore this opportunity? Why don't you take the certificate program at ASU in nonprofit management? We will discuss each of the courses as you go through those courses. And then at the end of that experience, let's really reevaluate if this is really the direction that you want to take. And then we can make a decision from there together. It turned out that after he took that coursework, though it was very interesting and he met some great people, he realized that his vocation in the for-profit world was the best to stick with.
Wow, I love your stories, because that really puts the it into perspective for people, so that it's not just the answer, but it really tells you how you apply your coaching process. And I know I just touched on this very, very briefly before, but the power of communication is vital for all entrepreneurs, as it is career professionals. And today that
Mhm.
could be a very uh, difficult process for a lot of younger individuals, because they're not
Mhm.
necessarily good communicators. They're fine on the phone, they're fine in text, but if it comes to even a Zoom one-on-one, I find that their communication skills aren't necessarily up to par if they want to make
Mhm.
that leap into the corporate environment. So how do you
Right.
prepare clients to deliver a stellar interview? And I know we just talked about it briefly, but besides doing
Sure.
the practice run? Just give us some tips on that.
Absolutely, love to. And really it's, they say it's location, 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 real estate. It's research, research, research when it comes to putting together the best interview. And then, of course, practice with that. But there's several different things that I would suggest. First of all, I would scour the website of the organization that you're going to talk to. I would be looking for what they do in community service. I would look for what the CEO said in his annual report. I would want to make sure that I understand the corporate social responsibility platform of that organization. And that's really important because you need to know that, because if you're going to align with that organization, you need to make sure that you have an alignment on that as well. I would then explore LinkedIn. I'd want to know if there's any chance that I can do the profile of someone who might be on the interview panel, or else people that are likely to be on the interview panel, so that I could know more about them, their personal and professional pursuits. I'd also look at Glassdoor, or an organization like that shows culture. It shows feedback of different individuals who work for that organization, always with a grain of salt. But it's important to have different perspectives when you're looking at doing the stellar interview. So all of those things put together, and then, like you said, have the right kind of mentor who gives you that tough love information to do the practice with, so that you can really nail it. And finally, you want to make sure that you have a set of questions, and you also go in with a value proposition of what you can do for that organization given the opportunity, and offer to them what you would do in your first 90 days of onboarding. Give them a taste of that, and they'll know how much you've given this thoughtful preparation to that interview.
Wow. I would be blown away if someone came that prepared. I have to say, I would be okay. You're hired. You want my job? I mean, that is, yeah. If you came in with all of that and a value proposition as what you're going to do in the first 60 days or so, it's like, okay, you're on. Let's see what you can do. That is amazing. Oh my gosh. I could see how coaching with you to get your stellar job would put you at the top of the list, but that is so insightful. The research. I had not thought of that, but you are so right. And nowadays, because everything is so accessible on the internet, there's no excuse
Right.
for it. In fact, you can dig a lot deeper, because one of the thoughts that popped into my mind was that, well, what if it's not a public corporation? You can find all kinds of information when they're public, because they produce quarterly reports, annual reports, that kind of thing. But if they're private, but now with the internet, excuse me, and platforms like LinkedIn, you can always
Mhm.
find information. I mean, there's
Exactly.
always sources. Yes, and understanding what their nonprofit is, their culture, that is way over and above. I would be shocked if they didn't get the job. Quite frankly, I would be shocked. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if
That's
you
my
really want your
goal.
job, yeah, exactly. That is being prepared. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. So, what are a few pieces of advice for gaining traction with your resume and your cover letter? Now, this is an area that is, I find, very difficult for a lot of individuals. Some people
Oh,
hate
yeah.
to write, some others people don't know how to express, and then you get those that go on and it's too long. So, another
Right.
thing, touch on how long it should be, because the last thing
Sure.
you want to do is have somebody look at it and say, forget it, I'm not even going to look at it.
Right, right, absolutely. And so therefore you want to keep it brief, you want to keep it easy to read. So I love the bulleted approach. One of the ways that I've formatted them in the past is where I would put some of my highlighted skill sets and some of the great things that the job is looking for, and see how those two things can intersect right in the front cover letter, to show that you are not only prepared, you understand, and in highlighting your unique skills and talents that they should be looking at, and proactively help them get the mission of their organization accomplished. So that's what I would do in a cover letter, just making sure it's extremely relevant and it's customized to the exact role that you're looking to play.
And on the resume, would you suggest one page? Or, I mean, sometimes it might be difficult depending on your
Right.
experience.
Sure. And there's a couple different ways to do it. So depending on the job that you're looking for, you might want to do a chronological one. That's certainly one approach. And then you'll want to make sure, depending on how deep you are in the world of work, where you want to cut that off. and make sure that it's not too lengthy. There's another way to do where you can do it by skill sets too. So you can craft it and design it in a way that tells the story of the skills and how it matches up to the job that you're looking for. So and then again, also look at the industry that you're going into, because again, who's going to be reading it, whether it's heavy technology versus heavy product versus services. Each one of those then has a little different flavor, and you want to reflect that flavor in how you design and craft the resume.
Yes, so important. The getting in sync with the energy of the industry that you're applying to. You're absolutely
Right.
right, because if technology is much more dry, if you're looking for something on the creative side or
Mhm.
something on the nonprofit side, that would speak differently in words than it would if you were to be applying, say, for a trading job on the floor of the stock
Right.
exchange.
Of
been
course.
been there,
And
done
the
that. Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
And the other thing too is to make sure that those examples, because once you put them, those stories or examples that you put into your resume, then it becomes the perfect interviewing tool as well. Because you can just pull up and share those stories. And then again, you know that you're on track with the relevance because you're aligning with how you crafted the resume and the cover letter together to create the interview process.
Mm. Yes, that is so important. Oh my gosh. Yes, alignment, because that's, you're right. If you're trying to go for a sales job, for example, and if you've won awards in the past, you could bring that up, just like it says in my
Right.
resume, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That is so insightful. I love it. So, what are three pieces of advice you would give someone to help them boost their confidence? Because that's going to be something that could be lacking no matter how professional you are or how long you've been in business, especially today
Right.
with things that have shifted so much. I mean, I think a lot of
Mhm.
people are searching and they may have lost some of their confidence because we all get comfortable in what we're doing. And a lot of times
Right.
it's not really what we want to do, but we're just comfortable. But now our
Right.
confidence has been shaken.
Right. Well, there's several different things that I would suggest. One of them is to get on a committee. So, with a not-for-profit, with your in a church group, with the Boys and Girls Club, I mean, with something in the community that's outside of what you do in the professional realm right now, and not only get on a committee, but step up and serve as a leader in that committee. That'll really help boost your confidence. Another thing that I didn't actually, when I was in the first part of my career, I did a public speaking training. I was a volunteer for the 2030 Club, and I had a room full of people that wanted to become better public speakers. And to me, as you hone your public speaking skills, you really are going to have a lot more confidence in how you can take the world on, which is what we're trying to do. And finally, the other one that I really loved now, and I would really encourage, is technology acumen. So, that's a criteria on almost all jobs now to have a certain level of that and to be confident in it, to understand how to navigate through it, will again make you more self-sufficient more quickly in a new role. And I suspect with all of this remote environment as well, that we really are going to have to be much more self-sufficient in the IT arena.
Yes, getting comfortable with IT, not my forte, I will admit. I'm not sure if I'll ever be comfortable. I always say to my husband that, I think the computers were all developed by men because they don't make a lot of sense to a lot of women. And they're like, it's
Little
right
too
there, can't you? I know you
too
can sit with
linear.
that. Exactly, too linear. I said, but it doesn't make sense. And I'll say, but why? He goes, don't ask me why. It just is. I'm like, but I need to understand why, then I can figure it out. It's like, okay, fine. It's just, but
For
yes, I
sure.
understand. And that's stretching, especially for people in our age group. But the younger
Right.
people, it's like,
Mhm.
it's like drinking coffee for them. It
Yeah.
just shocks me how they pick up anything and they know how to navigate right away. So
Right.
there's lies their strengths, but our strengths lie in the communication and the connection part, because I think
Right.
that's their virtual world is a lot different than the real world.
Yeah.
So that's great insight. I one of your success stories. You and I have talked at length before, and so much enjoyed hearing about your stories. You had a client who you set up in a discovery meeting and with
Mhm.
the university that she was interested in getting a job offer from. And I had never heard of this process before, but when it was explained, the light bulb went on for me, and I thought, that is the most impressive and the most imaginative way to get your foot in the door without proposing that you want to get a job and also being in the position of an interview. So
Mhm.
unpack that discovery meeting for us, because
Sure.
if anything, this is a big gem for me, and I hope
Right.
for all those listening.
Right. Well, I'd love to. So, my special person, she was in the entrepreneurial world for about 20 years, had a great practice, but then her industry shifted dramatically, and she realized that she's going to have to make a change. And she was very tentative to make a change. So I suggested to her the discovery meeting process because I felt that this would give her the opportunity to meet some people, to get her feet wet, to reintroduce herself to these kinds of dialogues without the pressure of an actual job. So what I suggested to her is that she set up about 4 or 5 questions that she could ask in that conversation, and that she could then start to build like an acumen of what was needed in the world that she was trying to get into. So but to your point, she went in on one of these discovery calls. She had her set of questions. She showed up. She was dressed for success. She had the right attitude. She was excited because it was a university of great note in the community. And they aligned with her. They took her right in. They felt her energy. They felt her enthusiasm. They could see that she was well prepared because we really worked on that. So even though that moment there wasn't a job that she was asking for specifically, they knew they wanted her in the organization and they hired her on the spot. So it was really a remarkable story, and it has totally changed her life. It really has, in the most wonderful way.
Yes, it is so remarkable. And so I'm curious then, if you were looking to get one of these discovery meetings,
Mhm.
how do you approach it? In other words, the individual that you want to meet with,
Mhm.
because usually they have assistants or guard, gatekeepers, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So do you write a letter that says, I would love to just have a chat with so and so because I'm doing research, or how do you approach getting your foot in the door that way?
Well, there's a couple different ways that I suggest. One of them is I love to have people put together a target list of the organizations that they're interested in, and literally carry that everywhere, and make sure that anyone in your circles, and you have different circles of influence, sees that list. And because if you can get a warm introduction to anybody in that organization, definitely not necessarily in the department you're going to be wanting to work in, but just to get a sense of the culture, get in the front door, get beyond a gatekeeper. So that's certainly one of the approaches that I would use. Another approach that I would use is indeed, as you were saying, creating some kind of a call. And I would do it with a call, always being proactive and keeping it in my court. So making a reach out call to an executive assistant, talking about what you are looking into, what you're researching, what you're interested in, and that industry really seems to be on an upward trend, and you would love to know more about what's behind that, and ask for 15 minutes only, 15 minutes of that executive's time. And interestingly, right now, with so many people still in the remote world, I'm finding that people are taking these calls, especially if it's brief, breaking their day maybe from their general routine, meeting a new individual, having a different kind of dialogue. And that's how I would position it. That's how I would position it at this point. I think we have a unique opportunity right now.
Wow, you're right. And it's probably because we don't know, but they may be being working half remote and half in the office, which, give not necessarily gives them more time, but I find that when people are a little bit more relaxed, they're not so stressed, they're apt to take these kind of calls or to explore different avenues, et cetera, et cetera. So you're absolutely right. And I love that idea of being proactive and picking up the phone. Now, that
Yes.
is a challenge for a lot of people, but when you get that yes, you're like on the moon. So
On the
it's like
moon.
you have to envision yourself getting that yes and feeling that already, because for me it's not an issue. I was in the brokerage business, so the phone is actually my friend.
Right.
But for a lot of people I know, the phone call is a big leap, and a big leap
Right.
out of their comfort zone. But that's the way because that's going to be impressive. Funny enough, how things have changed. Today, if you make a phone call, if you send a letter, people are going to notice you. Why? Because it's different. You get an email,
right.
it's going to go into spam, it's going to go into junk mail. It may even get into their feed, but they'll say, well, I don't know who that person is. That's what I do. I just click it off and put it in my trash because I'm like, well, who are they? Yeah, absolutely. And this way you can connect with the executive assistant and make them your friend. That's what I always say.
Absolutely.
Make the executive assistant your friend, right? Because they will be your best friend. Yes, absolutely. I love it. So, Carla, this has been so insightful and so many gems. Is there any last words would you like to share with our audience of advice looking for those people who are trying to get into the corporate world?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, I would say dream big, really, because you know what? You can shoot for the stars, and if you only land on the moon, you've still gotten off the earth, right? So you've made tremendous progress. So always dream big. I've created 5 different careers for myself: not-for-profit, education, for-profit, and I know that there's always something else around the corner, like this. I can't believe how excited I am about our transformation work that we've been talking about today. So that's what I would say, and I'd love to be that person that gets to guide you.
Thank you so much. And tell our audience about your free offer.
Certainly, I would love to. Please let me have 15 minutes with you and discuss what your dreams are and what your career aspirations are. And let's put together a plan of action together and co-create the most incredible position for you with prosperity, with passion and purpose.
That's what Carla's all about, is finding your dream job. Not one that you have to have, one that you want, right? Your dream job. So thank you so much. And all of that will be in our summit directory. But I did want to ask Carla one last question before we go here, because we are on the Epic Vision Zone. And if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Sure. It would be Relentless Resilience, a story of hope, positivity, and unlimited possibilities. That's me.
That is a beautiful title. It says it all. My gosh, I would pick that up for sure. I love it. You've not only got the title, but you've got a subtitle. So that is so powerful. I love it. And of course, suits you to a T. So like I said, thank you so much again, Carla, for being here. And be sure to check Carla's bio, her social media contacts, get in touch with her and take advantage of this free offer. They are incredible free offers, and you won't see these anywhere else. Again, you'll find all that information on the Summit directory, and we thank you for joining us once again. And please be sure to check me out and join my Instagram at Jane Applegath, and check out how you can become an epic entrepreneur at janeapplegath.com. This has been the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dream into epic success. Congratulations for signing up for the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. We're bringing you some of the most exciting female entrepreneurs from around the globe to share with you their knowledge, their ideas, their inspiration, and more importantly, their resources to elevate you to prosperity and freedom. And by being here, you're on the cusp of something great, your epic future. I'm Jane Applegath, founder of the Epic Vision Zone and producer of the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. Be sure to get your VIP pass and join me after the summit on June 16th for a very special VIP coaching session where we'll have hot seating, summit Q&A, and a special guest appearance by one of our speakers just for you, where we'll ignite your vision, up-level your confidence, and set you on the path to your dreams' epic success. This is your opportunity calling. It's time to take action. Get your VIP pass now. I can't wait to see you on the other side.